So to make up for the fact there wasn't a video yesterday, I've decided to do an exhibition of stupid people. I have 4 topics that I find quite interesting and I think are worthy of discussing. Before that, there will be a PMQ stream tonight, Boris Johnson's 3rd, although the 2nd that I will have covered over on the Moistski Live channel, where there is also a new video. General Election 2019 is officially a go. Oh yeah. Now, to start, I want to talk about a vegan who has called the police. Now, if you don't know any vegans, that's a real surprise. They usually tell you. I just wanted to make that quip because, seriously, there are many products that exist so that vegans can eat products that are akin to that of the meat equivalent without actually consuming meat. I don't take issue with this. For the most part, I don't see a problem. I don't care, eat it, don't care. I do think it's a bit silly calling something a chicken nugget if there's no chicken in it. But I also know about sun-fed, so I'm very much familiar with the alternatives that exist. This is all relevant because of a young lady at the age of 24 who goes by the name of Vegan Throwaway 192847 on Reddit, who put an essay on Reddit on the subreddit of Am I the Asshole, detailing a story of events where she was white girl wasted, as she put it herself, and had admitted that since the age of about 3 to 4 she had not consumed any meat-based products, only to go to a party when she was drunk and be fed these chicken nuggets, not sun-fed, by friends who convinced her they were vegan. Now, I do think to an extent when some people have dietary restrictions and someone says to you that you are eating something that it is not, that person needs to be spoken to, because it is not right to intentionally put someone in a position where they will inevitably feel grief, guilt, shame, and so on because of the choices they've made. Does this warrant going to the police? No. But I can understand the police issuing a warning to someone who is trying to harm another person, because they did mock her on Snapchat. They did make it a point to give her a meat product as some kind of prank. It's a really poor prank, I will say that, and you are the idiots in this. I can understand when drunk some people are unable to make fully knowing, educated decisions, but she did ask you if it was vegan, and it was in the very video that you put on Snapchat. I'm not throwing my weight behind vegans or anything, but in this context, the idiots are those that fed the chicken nuggets to the vegan, and you are rightly burnt for it. Next, I want to talk about Roy Chubby Brown. Roy Chubby Brown is a very, very outspoken comedian who has used certain language in the past that has intrigued me. When I was 15, my stepfather at the time introduced me to him because he loved his style of comedy. His style of comedy could be argued to be incredibly misogynistic. He is very blunt, and it's a character. It is obviously a character. Roy Chubby Brown makes it quite clear it is a character. With this all in mind, Swansea Council have decided to cancel his gig that is due in April, where tickets have only recently gone on sale, at the Grand Theatre, because his comedy style is unlikely to reflect their values and commitments. Now, I should say, for the sake of it, I would never support deplatforming any comedian because you don't agree with their style of comedy. I certainly wouldn't agree that any council should get involved in that either. Roy Chubby Brown is known historically for selling out venues, which in turn brings great money and additional funds to towns. By that logic, you should just let them do that and make the money off them that you would undoubtedly make. Granted, only 52 tickets had been sold so far because the tickets had only very recently gone on sale, but to ban him or to deplatform and cancel only makes him look good and you look like absolute thought police. Not thought. The thinking, not the hoe. I will say his comedy style is crass, and that some of his jokes are over what you would consider where the line is. But it is not for the council to make such an intervention, and to do so is a huge insult to anyone. This is an argument of free speech because you've decided, because of the jokes he's made in the past, he's not worthy of a stage now. For those at all interested, this is not the first time that Roy Chubby Brown has been deplatformed. And it should be noted that Roy Chubby Brown's management has put out a statement on the Facebook page he uses, indicating that he is one of the most popular artists to ever appear in Swansea, and that the council has made a decision that only benefits the minority, while acting it in fact does so for the majority, with everyone seeming to be frightened in case they upset some militant minority soapbox protagonist. That is a direct quote. I personally think Swansea Council need to get a funny bone and stop intervening and interfering in what is usually a highly profitable for all sides event. Next, I want to talk about a doctor. Doctor, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but let's call him Gangro, who has been arrested and charged with negligence, with an accusation coming his way that I find to be quite alarming. If proven true, sentence is life. 900 children have tested positive for HIV. The accusation is that he has reused syringes on them. Now, I can understand in certain countries why it would be difficult for some to be able to find and have a readily available source of syringes, and therefore would steam clean them in the vain hope that it would do the job. But it should be pointed out, if this is in fact the case and you have in fact harmed that many children with such a horrific affliction, you do deserve everything you get thrown at you. It's only a short story because I just wanted to point and say you're a much sicker person, potentially. I keenly await the outcome of the investigation so I can tell you whether or not he's in fact guilty. Oh, and before I forget, this is in Pakistan, but it is of interest because the fact it's even happened is quite alarming. Now, the final story I want to cover is equally quite dark. It concerns a lady called Marissa Mowry, who was once a nanny in Florida, who's been sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, she, at the age of 22, was hired to watch in 2014 a child. Not long after, the contact with that child, who was 11 at the time, became sexual. And as a product of that, she gave birth to a child, with DNA test proving that the child she was looking after was the father of the child she had. Marissa Mowry has pled guilty to multiple accounts of sexual battery on a victim under the age of 12, with the judge sentencing her to 20 years, with her, after her release, being forced to complete 10 years of sex offender probation, and her also being added to the sex offender registry. Mowry is now 28, her alleged victim, or her victim even, is 17. The child they have together is 5. Somewhat shockingly, the child has not or will not be put up for adoption. In fact, the 17-year-old takes his son to school before he himself goes to high school. He even cares for his son afterwards, which is somewhat surprising considering how young he started. I find this to be all quite alarming. Usually when it comes to such events, some people would and rightly would want to not be involved, but I have to show and be respectful of a decision made. So with all these stories, I'm very interested to know what you think. I'm very interested to know what you think about the vegan chicken nuggets, what you think about Roy Chubby Brown, who, if you didn't know, was actually used as the name of a town in a TV show called League of Gentlemen, and it was a very funny and peculiar show. I'm very interested to know about the doctor in Pakistan and, of course, Marissa Mowry, so please let me know in the comments down below. Now, if I don't see you over on Twitch tonight at 7 PM or on Moiski Live at 9:30 PM or GMT, I hope you all have a fantastic Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.